Hello and welcome to my hobby table once again. On the table here I have something that's just absolutely beautiful. And it is not this piston, which is also rather cute. This OS FS-95V engine. Now, there is a curious story about how I managed to acquire this engine, and I'm going to say that it was brought on by a tease, and I'm just going to rotate this around and show you how absolutely spectacular this engine is if you haven't seen one before. So, another very popular YouTube creator, Fitz from HobbyView, contacted me recently and was asking me some questions about OS FS-62V that he got for a very sweet price. I have no idea what he got it for, but he was having some issues with it. So I thought he was going to send it to me and have me look at it, and I got all excited, and then he managed to figure out what the issue was, and now I didn't get to play with his engine. So it got me curious because I've had two of these in the past and one 65 or 62V, V65. And I was just all agog about these engines. I thought they were absolutely spectacularly beautiful. They run incredibly well. Now this engine came out in 2011. So did the 62V or the V62. Both came out in 2011. They're still current production engines, which is amazing. So that's 25-year production run history, so obviously it is a successful engine. But there is one thing about this engine that I'm not a super big fan of, and it ties directly into what Fitz's issue was with his engine, and it's something I mentioned in one of my few videos I had on these. But I just want to say these things are just absolutely beautiful. So this particular engine is brand new, never seen a drop of fuel. This was all in a bag. Actually, this was in a bag, and that was not. Then this OS-F glow plug. It's brand new, but it did not come with a box or instructions or decals. But I got instructions online, so big deal. So it's like, if you look at the shocking price that Horizon Hobbies is asking for these things right now, all I can say is I got this beauty. Confirmed, never run, brand new, not a blemish on it, for way less than half of that. So I'll just say that up front. I'm proud of that. So anyway, these engines are beautiful, and let me just show you one of the features that I think is really, really cool about these, other than the fact that it is a split rocker engine, because the only other split rocker engine OS ever made was that original 120 of theirs, the FS-120 engine. And I'd like to call that the pre-Surpass engine, because that was really before they came out with the Surpass line. So that was the only other split rocker engine they designed and developed, and why they went to these two displacements in 2011 is beyond me. But I'm going to zoom in here so we can get a little bit closer look at this. So I just removed one of the rocker covers, and so you can see how absolutely spectacular and beautiful this engine is. But aside from the fact that it's got split rockers like the Sato engines, which I love them, it looks very, very cool. Here's something that's really neat about these things that I think is superior over the Sato design, and that's this guide pin, or this rocker arm pin. It's not held in by anything. It can just come right out. It just pulls right out, and it's just this most beautiful little piece of shiny metal. And that's it. So, what does that mean? Well, I can tell you one thing it means. It means that you don't ever have to worry about breaking off the head or having this thing be seized up like you have in a Sato engine. And by the way, the casting of this head is just, I think it's a lot nicer looking, a little more clean and refined than the Sato engines, especially in this area where the rocker arm is retained. But so you don't have those issues, but the other drawback is that you can never run this engine as an open rocker engine, because the only thing that's holding that pin in place is the rocker cover. So you got a good and a bad, because it would be kind of cool to, you know, run these open rocker. And I recall that when I was running my engines of these, when I had them, that I remembered saying, why isn't that one threading in? Or is it? No, it's not. I remember saying that these were some of the finest operating and running engines that I ever had the pleasure of running. It ran well on FAI fuel and 5% nitro. I think I ran 5%, 10% nitro. Let me zoom out again here now. Just absolutely spectacular. A drawback, it's beautiful, these pushrod tubes. Just these beautiful machined aluminum tubes. But don't ever, boy, if you ever damage those, I'm sure those things are not inexpensive to replace. But it's time, just like every OS engine. Now here, let's talk about the drawbacks to this engine. The only drawback that I can come up with. I'm doing the best I can, because not a wrench has never touched these nuts. And I can tell that by looking at them, because they're just absolutely pristine. So, and you can see I put this on my little stand, because honestly, I don't know when I would like to run this. I'll run it someday, but I don't know when, because it's just so beautiful. So there's two drawbacks to this engine, in my opinion. One is a real drawback, and one is just my opinion. And my opinion one is that, yeah, I don't know if I really care for this exhaust. I mean, I think it does a fine job of making the sound okay, but I don't I mean, the shape here is not exactly that horrible looking. It kind of looks too much like a two-stroke exhaust for me, but that's okay. But the header is just a straight thing. So it's like, you know, it could have, at least with all these nice swooping lines and nice curved thing here, couldn't you at least make kind of like a nicer swooping header or something? But anyway, so that's just my opinion. And anything that has screws and a gasket like this is just expecting leakage. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. So I mean, I've seen several of these, and these things are just always, usually, especially after they've been run quite a bit, they're just black. But you know, there's drawbacks to everything. So I'm going to zoom back in here again here, so you can see what I'm going to talk about here. And this directly relates to the issue that Fitz had, I believe, and that is this prop hub. If I take this off, it's got your thrust washer on here, which is pretty common, but it's just got one side on the crankshaft here that's flattened out. And you can see the keyway there, flattened out. But here's the real issue. Look at this thing. Look at the play. Look at the amount of play. Now that crankshaft is not turning, but look at the amount of play in that. Now, is that designed intentionally to have that much play in it? I don't know. If it is, then that leads me to ask, why would you have to design it such that you have that much slop in this? Now, the thing that I believe happened with Fitz's engine is that his was a used engine, and over time that wallered out. And I think this thing was spinning. It was so wallered that it was, or wore out, that it was just spinning around. And that was causing him some issues with running, because I think maybe it was detonating, and instead of throwing the prop, it would just stop, and it was kind of just a weird thing. He sent me a short video on it, and maybe I'll post that video on this video so you can kind of see what I'm talking about, what his symptoms were. I don't think he'll mind. And I had mentioned this the last time I had one of these, is that that's just a bunch of slop. And so what I've got here, you can see here, is I was thinking, well, why don't I do something to take that slop out? And I had some brass strip, you know, hobby grade brass strips. And I don't know exactly what the thickness of that is. It's pretty thin. But what I was experimenting with was I cut this piece to fit, if I can get that to slide in there, to fit right in there, in that slot. Believe me, I did have it in there at one time before. Okay, so here, now we got it. So I cut that thing so it goes in there pretty good, but now look, it's removed 90% of the slop there. So I don't understand if OS designed that for a reason, so that this was a expendable or just an item that could be replaced or should be replaced over time because they knew what's going to happen, or if they knew they were going to have detonation issues with this engine, and instead of risking other parts of the engine, they're like, well, let's just have the detonation take its toll on this hub, and people can just buy a new hub. That's the only thing I can logically deduce as to why there would be that much of a tolerance play in this thing, because you can see I just shoved that little piece of brass in there, and I've taken, it's gonna be hard to see, I've taken like 100% of that play out. So I don't know what their logic was behind doing that, but that is a drawback, and I knew that that was a drawback 5 or 6 years ago when I had this engine, and I think Fitz basically confirmed what my suspicion was, because I believe that that was the issue he had with his, that it was just so wallered out. And he said he replaced his, he bought a replacement, luckily they're still in production, you can get all these parts for this engine, and he replaced that, and he said all of a sudden the engine ran perfectly. So there you have it. So now I am the owner of one of these beautiful OS engines that I really think is so much more aesthetically pleasing than those stupid Alpha series engineering. I don't even know what the word I would want to say, but it would be a very derogatory term. They're just ugly. And I don't care for those Alpha series engines one bit either. This is nice, it's cosmetically appealing, it runs excellent, and I mean, why they only made 2 sizes is beyond me, because I think a 120 size in this styling would be freaking awesome. I mean, it really would just be awesome. But anyway, so that's my video talking about the OS FS-95V engine.